Vituti kalpanal jallam gambir udar murtahi Naman samanta badriya samanta trishe. In this gathering, present the venerable monks, respected school teachers, dear children. I am happy to be with you in this afternoon to interact with you on various subjects which you are interested. I said that I am happy to be with you this afternoon because basically I was a school teacher from 1961 to 1970 for about 10 years as elementary school teacher in various schools of the Tibetan refugee community. Therefore, I don't know what to say, my career maybe was started as an elementary school teacher, dealing with the small children. In the beginning, when I joined the university as professor, my colleagues used to tease me, Masab means the school teacher, that's something inferior than the university professors. To interact with you, I think we spend more in dialogue and discussion because I have nothing to say much because of two things. Number one, I do not know anything about education. I am an uneducated person. I still live very happily in the 7th century civilization, and I feel proud of it. And I feel I am fortunate enough not to be affected by modern education, so-called. I am a little bit shishit, the shiksha, the ancient Indian tradition. Due to the kindness of my teachers, I was able to acquire a little bit of shiksha. A shishit and an educated is difficult to dialogue freely because the basic mindset of a shishit person and an educated person is quite different. Therefore, we have to find some common ground to establish a dialogue properly. Since I was asked to talk about a little bit about education, that also in English language, I never learned English language. It was compulsion. I have to pick up from the street a little bit of conversational vocabulary. I resist to learn English from 1959, when we arrived as a refugee, till 1964, for about 5 years. Then after that I had a very odd responsibility, during which I have to fight with many other people, and fighting through interpreter is something very difficult. Loving through interpreter and hitting through interpreter is more difficult than any other thing. So then I decided to pick up a little bit of this language as well. So you maybe find it difficult to comprehend my broken English. Whenever you find difficult, you can interrupt me and ask me to clarify. We all, fortunately, citizens of India, the great ancient country, the birthplace of various religious traditions, philosophical traditions, and various kind of learning, shiksha, for thousands and thousands of years. And India was considered to be the world teacher, Jagat Guru. Jagat Guru means the world teacher. The entire world, the majority of the philosophical traditions are started from India. The Vedic, the Sankhya, the Jainis, and the many other traditions, including Buddhist philosophy. And therefore, it is considered to be the ocean of knowledge. And it has its own very unique kind of shiksha tradition, the tradition of learning. Teaching and learning process of India was something great, from which the entire world was able to enter into the sphere of understanding, knowing, and living in a system of wisdom. This tradition remained till 1830s. I'm just reminding you how you are reaching to this present situation. From 1831 or 32, maybe 31, someone British individual, later on he became the Lord Macaulay, lived in India for a few years and visited many places of the Indian township. And then he went back to England, and he gave a great famous speech in the British Parliament. Our situation, the British rule in India, it was 1833. You must read that his lecture, his address in the British Parliament. He summed up that unless we break the backbone of India, the education, the shiksha system, the learning system, and the creator of the Indian people. I lived 3 years in India and I never found a beggar in the street. I never found a liar, and I never found a thief, although they are very poor. Unless we change their character, we will not be able to rule the India for a long time. Therefore, we must change the system of learning. We should start a system of English education in India. And the British Parliament endorsed his recommendation and set up a committee, Macaulay Committee, and discussions of Macaulay Committee is also available on the net. You should see that also. Some of the members has doubted that if we started in the English education system in India, we might create some educated people who may resist the British rule, who may be fighting for the India independence. the Macaulay said that we shall have to take care of that. The system should be designed in such way so that no one becomes disobedient. The color and the scheme or the bones will remain Indians, but entire mindset, the disliking and likings and approach to the things, and we shall have to make them completely the black British people. Through them we can rule forever. So we are short of people, and from distance we cannot send many officers from inland. So through this class of newly educated Indians, we shall use them to rule the India. And accordingly, the education system as prevailing at that time in Great Britain, with little bit amendment in order to suit to the Indian local situations. And at the same time, all the learning centers of India was gradually removed, stopped. This is not a story, but it is actual history. You should read a book written by late Shri Dharampal. The title is The Beautiful Tree, in which he researched for 3 years in Great Britain with Indian Library and many other records of the Indian Revenue Record, gazettes and many other things. And he have given the specific evidences. In Madras Presidency alone, there was a traditional learning center more than 3,000, which completely disappeared within 3-4 years. Within 80 years or 75 years, in 1909, when Gandhi wrote the Hind Swaraj, so he had mentioned how the learning centers have been disappeared, how the new education system is about. I think the young students must read at least Gandhi's 2 books. One is Hind Swaraj, very small. You can read it in 1 or 2 sittings, available in every language, English, Hindi, Gujarati. It was written in Gujarati. And the other is his autobiography, My Experiment with Truth. And if possible, the third is Mere Sapnon Ki Bharat. This 3 book is necessary for every young Indian should read. And then the third is Dharampal's The Beautiful Tree, how Indian education system was abruptly distorted, and the Indian system has been disappeared. During the freedom struggle, there are many different opinions. Opinion one is to continue the modern education system, in which Madan Mohan Malviya was also included. There are many other people who do not agree with the education system. And Swami Dayananda, Rabindranath Tagore, and many other, Arvind Ghosh, all these people think the education system is the most damaging. But before independence, there were certain movements such as Rabindranath Tagore and Swami Dayananda and Vivekananda and Aurobindo Ghosh and Gandhiji himself, with the help of some educationist or Shishavid from Guru Rabindranath Tagore, he built up the Navtalin system. But all this we are not able to take root in the mainstream. And in the meantime, 1947, soon after, India get the political independence. But while India getting political independence, she could not get Shiksha independence, independence of language, independence of thought. This was remained unachieved. And soon after the independence, the first education committee was set up with the chairmanship of the Dr. Radhakrishnan. At that time, he was the vice president as well. From Radhakrishnan Commission till Acharya Ramamurthy Commission, I do not remember exactly, 7 or 8 education commissions have been set up, but not able to change drastically, fundamentally. Whatever the Macaulay has set up during his period is continue even today. I have no hesitation to say that the present education system is basically the product of Macaulay's thought. And this influence we are not able to shake off. Now, Ramamurthy Commission was considered to be one of the special commission which recommended very much fundamental changes in the system. But the government was short-lived, Chandrasekhar, and thereafter Ramamurthy Commission's recommendations, no one read even, no one knows about it. And thereafter, now the National Education Policy 2020 is considered to be much better, and in which higher education in local languages and medium instruction, the entire education system in local languages, and the freedom to change the courses and taking so many courses together, so on and so forth. There are a lot of new things are come up in the Education Policy 2020. But today is 23. From 2020 to 23, around 3 years, more than 2 years have passed. There are very few institutions who are willing to implement this new education policy. Everybody is hesitating the new responsibilities and challenges, and they feel comfortable in the ongoing education system. So everybody is looking for a comfort zone and unwilling to come out of that comfort zone. So therefore, fundamental and substantial changes are difficult to it may be good idea and good reports and good recommendations, but for the implementation is concerned, it finds it great difficult. The so-called mainstream is so powerful and so comfort to everyone. To everyone means to the teacher, to the students, to the policymakers, to the parents, and to the society. Everybody is willing to remain status quo, need not to do anything. The syllabus is all set and the evaluation system is already set. It is all routine. Each year we shall have to repeat, and that is the problem today. One asks, what is necessary to change the education system? It is okay. It's very much in consonance with the modern, ultra-modern and post-modern civilization. We are going ahead. This is the majority viewpoint. And apart from that, many people, the rulers, the decision makers, that means the corporates. The world is being ruled by corporates in these days. The corporates think that this education system is more suitable for the market economy. As you know, the modernity have changed the basic nature of the human being. The human beings used to be user of natural resources. And that means we are user, the natural resources are giver, and we have a special relationship between our system. But modernity, when science and technology have given the humanity to produce things much more than the need, then how to market them? And for that, to exploit the human greed is most easy way. And the human greed has been completely exploited through education, through advertisement, through media, and through many other things. So therefore, now we are no user, we are consumer. We have to consume the things as much as possible, whether it is need or not need. The needs are to be decided by the producers. We have no freedom to decide what is our need and what is not need. So in this condition, the present education system is more suitable for the market-oriented economy, and that is ruling all over the world. Now, even the Marxists and Communists, they are only in talk. No one is a Marxist, no one is a Communist. The Communist governments are also the state capitalists like China. The entire economic system is the most worst capitalistic way. At the same time, the administration is being run through a so-called communist ideology. So all this kind of dichotomy is there. So therefore, the entire world, the entire corporates who rule the world think it is suitable. So therefore, what I am talking this story is any intelligent person or any who is thinking about oneself as well as that entire humanity, if possible entire sentient beings, if not entire humanity, and its future. Its future does not mean 1,000 years after. In future, I mean after 50 years, 40 years. The present situation, the challenges are so great. The global warming, the environment degradation, and the degradation of the entire environment, which includes all the natural resources, the water, the air, the foods, and the earth, and arising the violence, explosion of population, gap between the haves and have-nots, and disharmony among the philosophies and so-called religions. All these are challenges before us. And the violence and destruction become a trade. In the ancient, the wars have been fought for the purpose of power and territory. Today, the wars have been fought for the sustaining the market of the weapon industry. Therefore, unless there is a substantial and fundamental change in our mindset, the mindset of the entire humanity, there will be disaster and very soon. Therefore, my dear friends assembled here, you are the generation during which period, either for the good change or either for the entire disaster. It's not for long. You are the basis of hope for the future of humanity. You are the basis of doubt as well. If you are not able to tackle with the challenges effectively and sustainably, the planet Earth is not going to be able to hold the living creature on it for another 100 years. I am not saying this. I am repeating the reports of the so-called modern scientific people who are saying that by 2070, this earth may not be able to live by any living creature due to its warming and the degradation of the environment system, pollution in the air, pollution in the water. All these they are predicting. They may be wrong, but today everybody believes so-called the scientific knowledge, and it might be correct. Until now, the scientific knowledge have given many predictions which happened accurately. So therefore, your generation is the generation whether they save the world or destroy the world. So you have a great responsibility, and particularly as the Indian younger generation, the heritage of the world teacher, the Jagat Guru, you have a special responsibility. So that I wanted to remind you, and you should learn as a student not to accept. You should know the things. Knowing things and accepting things are entirely two different. In Shiksha Paddhati, the teacher does not give complete information. The teacher gives hints and asks the students to find for herself or himself through rational mind, logic, examination, inquiry, so on and so forth. The teacher assists in the process of learning, process of examination. Then reach to a conclusion, finding by student himself or herself through wisdom and rational mind. And the education system, the teacher gives complete information, and the students accept this. हिंदी में ज़्यादा सरलता से कह सकता है, जाना और माना. Jana means understanding. Mana means without understanding, you accept it. There are many theories and many principles. Either the teacher taught or either book gives you information, you just accept. You never think about it, why, how, and to find for oneself. So therefore, you should be in any system, you must be able to protect your freedom of thought, freedom of conscience. You must not be conditioned by the indoctrination of the today's education system. Indoctrination and brainwashing is so dangerous, which takes away the human capacity to think and learn. And the humanity forgot about one's own inner intelligence or inner wisdom, completely depend on the sources of information and carried away by those informations. My late friend Jiddu Krishnamurti used to say that the purpose of education is to awaken the inner intelligence of the person so that he or she can flower in goodness. Once your inner wisdom is awakened, then you will automatically flower. You will automatically grow in goodness, not in a wrong way. So this is my request, that you should keep your inner strength to yourself, not to be influenced by the external forces, advertisements, and the needs which are being put in on you by the corporates for their own market benefits. So we shall have to be able to at least discriminate what is my real need, what is good for me. What is good for me should not be taught by the corporates. What is good for me should be decided my own wisdom. And if you have that wisdom, then you are Shishit. So this is I am to say, if my words are not acceptable to you, it's very much okay to reject it outset, and I apologize if you are felt inconvenience to hearing these words, because in the 21st century in India we are very few. We are means who are thinking in my way or talking as myself. We are only maybe a few hundreds in all, entire Indian nation. So therefore, many people might not have relished this kind of thinking and this kind of approach. And at the end, I again would say, India has produced the greatest person who is called Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And he has given a new way to entire humanity. But today, very few people in India know about Gandhi. I do not ask you to follow Gandhi or to be agree with Gandhi's thoughts. But only I am asking the people, you should know what Gandhi was talking about. You can reject Gandhi, but without knowing reject Gandhi is injustice to Gandhi or his thought process. So therefore, the younger generation must read Hind Swaraj, My Experiments with Truth, and Mere Sapnon Ki Bharat. These three small books, very easy language, so available in any kind, every local languages or foreign languages, so widely translated. And after knowing the Gandhi, then you are free to reject it with rational arguments, not by biased mind. which is not only with the Gandhi, I am saying it for everyone. Whatever you need to reject, that to be rejected through a rational and logics, which is to be accepted, that also you shall have to accept by knowing it by yourself. You must examine the things deeply and thoroughly, and what you find it out as a truth, that should be accepted. Not somebody have told, or some have written, or the master has taught in the classes. So, the basic human potential is the power of discrimination, the inner intelligence of the human individual. That must not be polluted by the external conditionings which might come through education, through advertisement, through the medias, and through the social interaction, whatever it may come. Your independence of mind must be protected. That is your responsibility. And if your independent mind is protected, then you will have the capacity to decide any tradition or heritage which need to be preserved or which need to be changed. That should not be learned from outside. That shall have to be decided by one's own. Thank you very much for your attention.
Firstly, Rinpoche Cho, Samla Kundamsa, naming the things that you Ladakh Pekine, Lodging Chishu, Tanda Zinda Juani, need theory. When you look to some examining them to the Baranshi, Gymnastic to the Nora and to look to some Jimnaki Zoranshi. The Jignamaki or Tablamina. Tablam.
The question is, you might have understood, the students feel scared, afraid when the examinations approach. So is there any method, a way not to be scared, not to feel afraid? Fear, how we can avoid fear? This question is very pervasive question, not only relating to the examination. Fear and desire, two particular emotions which bothers the entire humanity. All human misery are creation of these two emotions, the fear and the desire. And these two are very near to the attachment and hatredness. Therefore, we shall have to deal with these two emotions courageously, but very intelligent way, skillfully. I have no capsule which I can supply you to take one capsule before the examination. You will be free from fear. There's no such method. Examinations are being conducted tense immemorial. Particularly in India, Shiksha system, examinations are very important. And when the examination is taken by that Guru, the students feel great joy, encouragement, and are eager to undergo those examinations, evaluations. At that time also, passing through and failure used to be there. But the passing through does not make much happiness, or failure does not make any sadness or disencouragement. Equilibrium of mind is always maintained. And as I mentioned before, the human nature, we shall have to understand the human nature. The basic human nature is dependency, interdependent with each other. The basic human nature is loving each other, having affection with each other. Thereby, the basic human nature is cooperative, helping each other. But the modern so-called system, in usual language we call it modern civilization, but I am very hesitant to say the modernity as civilization. It is an uncivilized way. So the modern system have changed the basic human nature from the cooperative to the competitive. As I mentioned before, the producers researched how to exploit the human greed so that more than their need can be consumed. To exploit the human greed, they find the method comparison and competition. Forget one's own self, and one's self is looking the other's mirror, compares with the other. And by that comparison, he has 2 pens and I have 1 pen. Why I shouldn't have another pen, or cycle, or motor, so on and so forth. When people become competitive, competition means winner and loser. One is won and the others lose. There are many deluded words have been created by those corporates. Free and fair competition. It's a completely lie. There cannot be competition with freedom. And there cannot be competition with fear. Both of them cannot be winner. Competition means one is won, the others lose. And no one is compete for losing, let the other to win. So therefore, selfish nature of mind shall have to be awakened in order to compete. The examinations have become not to evaluate the standard of the student's knowledge. The examination becomes a competition. When its results are declared, one is passed, one is failure, and the followers cannot go the next class. and shall have to be repeat the same class again, or he or she is not qualified for admission to such and such institution, so on and so forth. The discrimination between fellows and the successors. And by that way, in the society, a kind of acceptance or kind of approach developed that the students must be success in their examination. In the ancient evaluation is only to judge the strength of the knowledge of the individual. If someone is not passing in the examination, he will be given special attention by the teacher and to redress the weakness and make him to the next stage of learning. And there's no such kind of competition. All are cooperative. Success or failures are not discriminated in further advancement of the education or advancement of the learning. They can equally move ahead. So that's I'm talking about the background. Now, today, in the system of your education, examination, how to avoid fear in your mind. Of course, I cannot replicate the ancient system. You shall have to find some way within the modern system, and in which you may not have to go through such terrible situation, fear and concerns. The first thing is to study with good effort, good attention right from the beginning. The day one of the start of the course, and each lesson, according to your capacity, you should put effort. The basic disturbance to us is postponing the things that we called in Asian language Chishulch Lelo. I will do it later, I will do it evening, I will do it tomorrow. So the things in the class, when the teacher taught, we must listen properly, and immediately we shall have to study it, and there's no postponement. And the second is Chawang Meshinch Lelo. Wasting time in unnecessary things, playing or watching videos or reading useless materials, dirty materials, or going out unnecessarily. So you have to keep a priority to your study, and you shall have to be a time schedule. Each day you shall have to complete your lesson and repeat it and give ready. So then this third thing is, with this effort, each day you should think, right from the beginning of the year, that each day you should think, will I be success in the examination up to now? Each day you must review. I have completed my study and I am ready for the examination. You should not wait till the date of the examination. Each day you should examine. And through that you should build a self-competence. And lacking of self-competence in our traditional language is called Danyi Lanye Bilelo. To assess oneself lower than the actuality. So you avoid postponing, you avoid wasting your time in the unnecessary things, and you avoid to come up with a mindset of doubt for your own capacity. So these three things shall have to be avoided each day. And each day you shall have to review your situation. And by that way, if you do these three things combined together the whole year, I can assure you that you will not afraid when the examination comes. Rather, you will feel more joyful. Yes, this time I will get very high marks, and I am sure for that. So this cannot be built up week or 2 weeks near to the examination. So this fear should be remembered, and when you start the course in the day one, from the beginning of the year, you shall have to think, are you using your time properly? You are doing the things, not postponing, and you are not wasting your time in the unnecessary things, and you are lacking the self-confidence. So these three are the basic cause of the fear. And if you control with these three things, then you shall have competence at the time of examination. Otherwise, there's no remedy, there's no capsules or tablets to be eaten. Or I can offer you, you do this, or you recite this mantra, you will free from, there's nothing available as far as my knowledge goes. Then secondly, the fear is also related with selfishness and also false self-image. If I am not successful, what my parents would say, what my relatives, what my friends, what my classmates. So these are the unnecessary things. If you have failed, okay, accept it. In this world, nowhere 100% individuals are success. There are successful people, they are failure people, but basically they are same. They have the same potential. It is immediate circumstances or some cause have someone made success, accidentally or by chance also sometimes. And they need not to be worried. And if you have failed this year, I will do better the next year. So this kind of determination you adopt. And actually, the fear is one of the emotion and which need to be watched. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama have given a new system which called secular ethics. The secular ethics is a supplementary to the present education system. The C learning, that's the course, and also universal ethics education, that's for Indian people. And they seek one period in a week, and they also give 3-4 days training to the teacher and give reading materials, and in which they try to understand the emotions, and by understanding the emotions, how to manage them, how to tackle them. And through that camp course also, if someone is interested, they are available now everywhere. C learning and universal ethics education is very popular. So you can find it from the nets. And this kind of thing might be helpful. And finally, fear should not be considered only weakness. Sometimes fear gives you strength also. The positive side of fear should also be recognized. So these are few ways how to tackle the fear. I don't know whether I am able to answer your question, but I have to admit that I have no ready-made remedy to disappear your fear.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Sonam Lanzis and currently I am pursuing my matriculation from Drukpadma Karpa School. So before I commence to ask my question, I want to say that we really feel blessed and privileged to witness your presence among us and for this productive interaction session. So my question to you is that in today's world, we get to encounter with thousands and thousands of literate and educated people, and as much as we become more and more knowledgeable, there is a natural desire for the approach of ego and arrogance within us. So what methods or ways need to be practiced to be a down-to-earth person, no matter how great you are or you are the omniscient being? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. To tackle with the proud or the arrogance is very difficult. This negative emotion always overpowered many otherwise great people, and particularly so-called scholars, so-called decision makers, or rich people, powerful people. They are always destroyed by the arrogance of the mindset. And that shows the person does not know properly himself or herself. There's no human individual who have not attained the spiritual path of enlightenment. Every individual has a weakness, faults, and some deficiency. When people become success and able to do things better than others and having more power than the others, then they think the person is complete and perfect, no faults, which causes not knowing the one's own weakness, causes the arrogance, the pride. A matriculation student might have read the Sukrat. Sukrat is a Hindi pronunciation. You call it Socrates. One of the oracles has mentioned that Socrates was the wisest person in that area. And he said, no, it is wrong. Then he tried to find it. The other people says, no, the oracle is correct. Then he tried to examine whether the oracle was telling the truth or the lie. And he thought many other people are wiser than himself, and he went to them and discussed with them. And then he found they are arrogant and they do not know themselves. Then later on he have said that the oracle was correct. I was the only person who knows that I know nothing. The famous sentence written by the Socrates saying that I know one thing, that I know nothing. The knowledge is endless. The query is endless. It is a delusion that I know this. You have to be questioning to that knowledge all the time. And you will find deeper and deeper and deeper in that. My late friend, Jiddu Krishnamurti, used to ask his friends, "Sir, can you live with the questions forever?" What does that mean? To live with the questions means to live with the examination. And there's more deeper to understand. And all the time, not to be hurried to reach a conclusion, or not to hurry to think that my conclusion is the final. It's the truth. And always keep an inquiry mind in yourself. And whatever you find the realities, you still challenge them. And that's the way how you remain yourself on the ground and not influenced by arrogance and pride. So whatever you achieve, whatever you succeed, you shall have to examine them internally. All this success is completely result of my own capacity, or it was being accidentally or incidentally, or it has been helped by other people, or it is a cooperation of many people. So this kind of examination is necessary, and that will give you more and more depth for the understanding of yourself. To understanding of oneself is the most difficult. Once you understand yourself, your strength, your weakness, your challenges, and your own disposition, then you will have a different kind of worldview. So everyone should keep inquiry to oneself and always examine the successes and the failures both equally, and keep on examining to it, and so that each day, each moment, you will have some new findings, you will have some new ideas, new insights, so that the insight and wisdom has no limitation. We never ever think that I have reached to the limit, the paramita. Paramita is only the Buddhas have achieved. No one has achieved the paramita, the end of the endless. So therefore, knowing one's own capacity and knowing or continuing the inquiry mind to the success, to the follower, to the conclusions, then you will have to maintain a balanced mind and to the ground.
A very good afternoon, Your Holiness and students present over here. My name is Tunsa Nima from Government Boys Higher Secondary School A. So my question is regarding to the stress. Nowadays the people are taking more stress and stress. So how we can quite distressed, Your Holiness.
As I mentioned before, I am still living in the 7th century civilization, and we are not very familiar what is stress. Therefore, I am also not very familiar how to quit stress. This is all modern protection. Modernity and modernization, these three things have brought many unwanted things to the people. The traditional way means not only Buddhist tradition. I am talking about ancient Indian tradition. In the ancient Indian tradition, there is a well-set sequence or method of dealing with the problems. Stress is also a kind of problem. How to deal with it. The ancient system of dealing with the problem is to find out accurately, perfectly, what is the cause of that problem. And when you find the cause of the problem, then your second effort is to be how to eradicate the cause. And thereby you will find the antidote to the cause of the problem. Then through that antidote you eradicate the cause, and after eradicating the cause of the problem itself will automatically go away. Maitrinath make it a metaphor, a daughter and patient. The daughter's duty is to find out the cause of the disease. And then, after finding the cause of disease, he shall have to give the medicine to remove the cause. When the medicine removes the cause of disease, the disease will disappear automatically. And there are another medical system which are called symptom treatment. If there's a fever, you just give some medicine to put down the fever. BP high, you give some tablets to reduce the highness of BP. But the cause of the BP high or the fever are not recognized, then you will not be able to treat the patient a complete cure. It may be for a few hours or few days, you maybe feel better, then the problem comes again. Therefore, similarly, whenever you feel stressed, it will never be causeless. Without cause, there is no anxiety or stress. You shall have to inquire thoroughly and deeply what was the cause of the stress. Stress is a temporary measure. It is not with the nature of your body or your mind. It comes sometime, it goes sometime, it is fluctuating. That shows that it has a cause. So if you do not know the cause, you will not be able to quit the stress. Medicine or treatment or any other method might be give some temporary relief, but to get out of the stress or completely cessation of stress will not be able to achieve unless and until you find the cause and also you find the antidote to the cause. So you have to find out whenever you have suffering from stress, you feel stressed, and you shall have to inquire deeply, sincerely, what was the cause. If you find the cause, then you will also find the remedy to the cause by yourself, or if you find the cause, you may ask other people what's the remedy to eradicate the cause. They are sometimes inevitable. The causes cannot be removed. You have no power to remove the cause. Then you shall have to live with the stress, without stress. Live with stress without stress is something funny word, but it is not my word. Acharya Shanti Devi had said in the Buddhacharya Avatar, whenever there is a problem and you are worried about the problem, then you shall have to find out whether the problem is solvable or it is unsolvable. Then the problem can be tackled, it will be solved. Then what is need of the worry? If the problem cannot be solved, then what is the use of the worry? Then you shall have to live with the problem. The worry is unnecessary, because that worry will make any result. So therefore you shall have to think, I cannot solve this problem, therefore there's no use of worrying about it. Similarly, if the cause is not solvable, then you shall have to accept that stress. And if you accept the stress, then the strength or the power of stress will become much less. But it is quite rare. In ordinary life, each one of the stress has a small or sometimes very funny causes, and that causes also created by oneself. If one have a deeper understanding of the things, the cause of stress may not be arising. It can be controlled at the beginning as well. Because we sometimes unreasonably ambitious for something, or we have desires to achieve effortlessly something big. All these are unbecoming desire. So we have to examine our own desire, and as I mentioned before many times, we should know accurately what is our need, and at the same time we should know what is my capacity. My need and my capacity, you shall have to keep desire also according to that. Then there will be less stress.
Jai Rinpoche. My name is Sonam Rinpoche. I am a student of Ladakh Public School, studying in class 10. And my question is related to the point that you have mentioned earlier. As you said that we should try to sustain our true strength, which is the freedom of thought, and we should know what is good for us by using our own wisdom. So as we all know that in the real world, up to some period, people try to sustain that true strength, but when they face the real world, they somehow lose that true strength. So to protect their own interests. So I wanted to request that can you give us some suggestion as how can we sustain that true strength even when we grow up, even when we become old. Thank you very much.
Very good question. We are living in the present world. The pressure, the speed, the quantity, the volume, all these are enormous, so huge in the modernity. And facing in this reality, in the practical world, the people are not able to protect the understanding of self and the strength of self. The questioner further says that we lose it in order to protect one's own interests. So that is very clear. She sees the meanness of the selfish nature, the self-interest. As I mentioned before, there are many things are reversed in this modern world. One of the reversal is the interests. In the ancient time, individual interest is the lowest, and family interest is the higher. Community interest the more higher, and the interest of the nation or the town is put in higher than that. And the interest of the all humanity or all sentient being was to be the highest. In order to achieve the interest of the human beings, nation, community, town, family, and oneself, the lowest interest shall have to be sacrificed for the sake of the higher interests. That is the usual way of Indian thinking. Vasudev Kutumbakam. The word Vasudev Kutumbakam is now used for the slogan of the G20. Everywhere it's advertising. But no one really in heart used that. Because in that way, we shall have to sacrifice our interest if it goes against the Kutumbikam, the Vasudeva. And for the sake of Vasudeva, everyone shall have to be sacrifice their own interest. But in the modern world, the individual interest, individual rights are put the highest level. And to protect the individual right or individual interest, you can sacrifice the family interest, the community interest, and even the world interest. I think we go like that. Now, your question is dealing with very crucial issue which is facing today by each individual in this postmodern system. The basic approach of mind is conditioned or indoctrinated that the success is in the thing where one's own interest can be protected and achieved. For any reason, one's own interest is to be given up, then that person is unsuccess. And this way of thinking has been indoctrinated in your mind so deeply. So therefore, it is called pragmatism and practicality. So many words have been, you should not be idealistic. Idealistics are unachievable. It's true, in today's society, today's world, the idealistic things are unachievable. That is not the nature, but it is being made by the system of the modernity. And in that struggle, people always losing the inner voice. In India, still the world is spoken by people. अंतरात्मा की आवाज़ को सुनो, लेकिन अभी अंतरात्मा की आवाज़ को सुनने की जगह पहचानता नहीं है. अंतरात्मा की आवाज़ कहीं है कि या नहीं, हेयरिंग एड कहने पर भी शायद नहीं सुनाई देता होगा. तो वो क्यों हुआ है? बिकॉज दैट इज द conditioning of our mind through the modern education and modernity. We shall have to consider one's own self, one's own interest is the utmost importance, and that shall have to be protected and achieved by any way, by right and wrong means, by any kind of means. In the tradition, even the object is pure and need to be achieved. For the achievement of means shall have to be also pure. If something, very nice thing to be achieved, but the method or the means of the achieving it is wrong, then that shall have to be given up. So today the way of thinking is, if the object is right, then all kind of means can be adopted. So that's one thing. Now even the end is right or wrong, that need not to be questioned. The end is in accordance with the self-interest or not. That is the criteria. If self-interest, then it may be wrong or it may be right. We shall have to achieve it. So with this kind of thinking, you are right that when we, in the classroom, in the family, or in the meditation, we might have a very good idealistic, authentic understanding of self. But when we face the real practical way of living with the society, you will have the problem. So, as I mentioned before, I do not have a ready-made method how to deal when we are facing doubts in this practical world, pragmatic world. If you do something sacrificing your interest, people may laugh you or think you as a useless person. And at the same time, you may not achieve the objective, the idealistic object for which you are sacrificing. That also may not be achieved because of the system of the modernity. You will find many things, modern laws. Many lawyers say that to go strictly according to the law is impractical. So the law shall have to be interpreted suitably to make one's own interest is protected. So in this way, sometimes you feel it is difficult to deal with. As I mentioned before, why I recommend to read My Experiments with Truth. Gandhi has facing this kind of problem at many times, and he was at loss what he should do or what he should not do. When he was put out of the train, although he had a valid ticket for that, then he was sitting in the waiting room and thinking about, should I go to the court to challenge the TT who have pushing down the Gandhi to the ground, or what he should do. And then he find out that person is under the greater influence of the British administration as a whole. And then he decided to not to challenge in the court, so on and so forth. Then slowly he evolved the methods of satyagraha, non-cooperation, disobedience, civil disobedience. All these are very unique. It's come from the Buddha's teaching of non-violence, Mahavir's teaching of non-violence, and at the same time, that strength of non-violence, how to implement in one's own life while living in the present troubled world. And each different kind of problem has to be faced squarely by an individual. So the usual way of facing does not make the result. Then he was looking at the larger side, how explicitly arise the power of non-violence and the power of the inner strength. What kind of things? So this is a little difficult for ordinary people, but there are methods which may take some time to get the result, but ultimately the truth will win, the righteous will win, and even the present situation. Of course, I cannot make a specific suggestion, but one shall have to keep a kind of confidence to one's own right decisions. That one's own right decisions goes against the protection of self-interest, then one need to re-examine what is the self-interest which you are trying to protect or to achieve. That may not be a real interest for you, which appear to be your interest because of the modern system, which have taught you that this kind of things should be considered to be one's own interest. So, re-examination of the interest, re-examination of the methods of the protecting it, and re-examination of your own inner strength, how far you can go with that strength. And it needs a great deal of courage, and that courage is not easily available because the modern influence of the conditioning of mind reduces our courage to a very minimal level. That also need to be addressed. So this kind of problem you need to learn from Gandhi, Vinoba Bhave, and other great personalities, Vivekananda and so forth. They are also facing the same kind of problem which you have mentioned, and at that time, sometimes immediately, sometimes with great difficulty, they were able to find how to face these problems, and sometimes get success, sometimes not getting success. And the getting success or unsuccess does not make the final decision whether your action was right or wrong. Your action was right or wrong is always depend the criteria of truth and non-violence. If you are remain within the truth and non-violence, your success or your failure, sometimes immediately, that does not make the final result of your action. Your action might be failure at this moment. If you re-examine through a righteous mind, unpolluted mind, you will find something much higher or much clearer. So we shall have to keep on examination and keep on reviewing. But at the same time, two criteria, non-violence and truth, in accordance to one's own highest level of the intellectual understanding, that is the boundary line. Within that boundary, you may able to find many different ways of tackling those problems. And should also need to keep a memory of those problems if really one is trying to have a perfect life. So whenever you face such kind of dichotomy, you should have a note, a journal, and how the problem arise, how the difficulties are, how it contradicts your principle, and it appears to be destroying your self-interest, and was that self-interest need to be protected, or it was a false interest which can be let go. So this kind of examination, it will give you more clear understanding. I cannot say everything in a ready-made way.
Good evening, Your Holiness, and all students gathered here. My name is Samdhong from CIB School. Your Holiness, my question is that how to practice our inner and outer peace. Thank you.
One thing I forgot to request you that you should not address me as Your Holiness. Some before questioner also said holiness. There are not many holinesses. In the Buddhist way, an elder person can be addressed in English, venerable, Your Venerable, or Bante or Mahathiro. These are the way to address, and not holiness. And we only profess the holiness to the His Holiness Dalai Lama alone. No one else shall have the right to profess the world holiness. So peace, inner peace and outer peace, how to maintain it is a huge question. I don't know what was the exact intention or understanding of peace by the questioner. The peace has many ways to define. And the world peace is not a static world which can only define in one way. In the Buddhist canon, when we talk about the four boundaries of the Buddhist philosophy, the one boundary is nirvana alone is the peace. Duje tamche metaba, saje tamche dumewa, chu tamche tungshidameba, nyangalindebamba shishiwa. In that way, the cessation of material developments, the delusion of mind, that's the state of nirvana, that is alone peace. And accept that no other way to establish a permanent peace. But in the day-to-day use of the world peace, it always refers to at the national or international level, the free from war is considered peace, establishing peace. Free from conflicts or struggles. And in a family way, within the family members, there's no quarrel, no different opinion, no argument. Then we call it also peace. But by and large, the law of nature is coexistence and interdependent. Everything exists in relation to someone else, depending on something else. And when there is a disharmony and conflict in that relationship, the peace is lost. And everything is in order, then there is peace. This mic system, the distance of mouth and mic, and the batteries in the mic system, and the tars, wires and everything, the loudspeakers, they have connected with each other. And these connections are in perfect order, then it gives a good sound, and that can be called peace. And there is a little bit disharmony in that connectivity. Then there is voice, and there is unclarity, and there is some disturbance. There's a kind of unpeace. So these are the outer peace and unpeace. Outer peace and unpeace is not a static thing, not its own inherent self-existence. These are in relation with the inner mindset. Some mindset likes the so much noise and loud things, and that person thinks that all kind of loudy things are okay. It is a suit to his or her own mindset. And the other mindset thinks that quietness is peaceful. So the outer unpeace and peace is more related to the approach of the inner mind. However, your inner mind projects the outer things, peace or unpeace, that decides the peace and unpeace for one individual. And in general, there's norms or standards set by society, and you have to go with that. And whatever it may be, mind and the objects. Mind is always go with the objects. In a Western way of talking, the mind and matter. Matter outside, mind inside. Outside, inside is a just word. There's no in or out, but matter is considered to be outside, and mind is considered to be inside of our body. Although it is not necessary that mind always remain the inside of the body, but we, in the vocabulary, we use it inner. Inner peace is to be protected by practicing equilibrium of the mind. The mind disturbance comes from the discrimination of the matter. Your mind is looking to three different persons. One is your enemy, the other is your dear friend, and the third is the unknown. When your mind sees these three different persons, you have three different kind of attitude of feeling. To the friend you feel so dear and near. The enemy you feel hate, hatredness and anger. And the unknown person just ignoring. The three individuals as human beings are completely equal. There's no difference. But you have a different way of seeing them. That is not their fault. That's your own mindset. You have accumulated past memories of bad relation with somebody, good relation with somebody, no relation with somebody. So that is on the nature of the three different persons outside. You are imagining, but it is due to your inside. So you shall have to practice and evolve a mindset which sees everything in the realm of equilibrium, equalness. And everything sees in the equalness, then the inner disturbance or inner conflict will disappear. That is how we can keep the inner peace. And when inner peace is established, evolved in your mind, whatever disturbance in the outside will not bother you, will not much makes you unpeace. So, keeping or making the arising of the equilibrium mind free from conflict of anything comes in your mind, then the inner peace begins, and by that the outer peace can automatically established or projected. So I think that is the short way to explain this thing. Thank you.